Okay.
Recording is started now. All right, I will get you introduced. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending Hear from Peers, the webinar series for the fall 2025. Here we have Dr. Fabiana Cecchini. She's an instructional professor in the Department of Global Languages and Cultures. She already teaches courses in Italian language and culture and Italian and global cinema. Her academic interests include media studies, teaching pedagogy, women's studies, and autobiography. Her educational activities involve collaborations between the Italian program at Texas A&M and the Italian program at the University of Houston and University Texas of Austin. The Italian Cultural and Community Center, as well as the Consulate General of Italy in Houston. She values research in connection with her courses. Thus, she seeks to attend pedagogy workshops, courses, national and international conferences to stay informed on the most current teaching methodologies. Dr. Cecchini, please feel free to start your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Armando, for the nice introduction, and welcome everybody to my presentation. So, this presentation was created for the workshop AI Tools for Language Teaching and Learning, Practical Insights and Applications, conducted by Michelle Vick from the Center for Teaching Excellence in conjunction with the 2024 Spring Pedagogy Workshop of the Department of Global Languages and Cultures in February 27, 2024, where I teach Italian and global cinema. On that occasion, some of my colleagues and I discussed how to use AI in a language classroom at any level. And then Dr. Michelle Vick asked me if I could, represent the same presentation for the Center of the Teaching Excellence. I'd like to highlight that I'm not an expert in the subject matter of artificial intelligence. And through this presentation, I'm sharing with you some best practices on how I use AI effectively in my language and culture courses. Hence the title, Experimenting with AI in Italian and Language Culture Courses. I would also like to say that I have attended several workshops on teaching with AI. However, they have been a little disappointing for me as a language instructor, since they all address only courses taught in English, and therefore the activities suggested and demonstrated are very advanced and not feasible in a foreign language class. The activities that I will illustrate in my presentation are instead the result of several discussions with my colleagues at Texas A&M and in the Italian community with the instructors teaching language and culture courses. Consequently, this presentation also welcomes suggestions and ideas on how to incorporate AI in a language class efficiently and conducive to learning. And I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you. Okay, here it is. The examples that I will discuss pertain to intermediate to level of Italian instruction, therefore the fourth semester, where I used the AI project as final exam, and therefore, as a written and oral assessment. And to the elementary second level of Italian instruction, therefore the second semester. And the instructions that I provide for my students are briefly stated on the syllabus to introduce the final group project and presentation. And then in a separate draft, I discuss with them the instructions more in depth on a special day designated to the artificial intelligence project. Therefore, in 2024, in spring 2024, with my intermediate Italian 2, these were the instructions that I wrote on the syllabus, just a very brief paragraph. In groups, max 4 students per group, students will create a project exploring the intersection of Italian culture and artificial intelligence. In the projects, students will include notions of the history, art, music, literature, architecture, fashion, and cuisine of Italy, and AI tools can be used to create new works of art, preserve cultural artifacts, and more. A draft with instructions concerning the project will be available on Canvas. We will also dedicate one class meeting to discuss guidelines and groups. And that spring, Monday, April 22nd, was the day that I dedicated, to brainstorming and discussing the instructions a little bit more in depth. So, as an instructor, I asked Copilot, to produce the instructions, for me. And out of the 20 points that Copilot gave me, I basically retained 7. And I totally edited them and modified them according, to the goals of the projects that I wanted to reach for the students. And therefore, identify the scope of the project, determine the specific area of Italian culture that you want to focus on. This could be anything from art, music, and literature to architecture, fashion, and cuisine. And all of these interests, are very compatible with the students that I have in my classes that come from architecture, from the performance and department, and let's say in general, architecture, fashion, and cuisine, it meets, their interests. And then research existing AI projects in your area of interest. It's not considered, let's say, cheating if they look what other students did, on the web, as long as they don't copy and paste, but they use it as a source of inspiration, right? The structure, the idea, but of course, then they have to work on their own project independently, from the projects that they have found. And define the goals of your project. What do you hope to achieve with your project? Are you looking to create a new work of art, preserve an existing cultural artifact, or something else entirely? So define the goal of your project. Just don't work on it, randomly, just to do, and complete your assignment. And then assemble a team. I told them that if they need, to consult with a history professor or an art history professor for their ideas or anything, they are more than willing to do that as long as they work, they're more than welcome to do that as long as they don't, as long as they work independently on their projects. And develop a plan, create a detailed plan for your project, including timelines. Implement your project, put your plan into action and start working on your project, and then evaluate your project. Once the project is complete, evaluate its success and identify areas of improvement, right? And then there are my instructor's notes that are very important. Use AI to create the structure of the project as an assistant. So AI is your assistant, not the creator. Create images, no text. Any text in Italian must be created by you and not by any AI tools or online translators to avoid cheating issues. The in-class presentation must be conducted in Italian with no flashcards and no notes, right? And this is basically, the evaluation form that I created at the end to evaluate their project and to determine their grade. If it meets the intended cultural and linguistic purposes, the requirements, if it's well organized, includes a variety of visual, audio, and written pieces, demonstrate commitment and effort, the level of quality, shows imagination, creativity, shows personal and general cultural insights, and goes beyond minimum expectations, and then the personal reflection on, their project that is also connected to the written part. The composition will be in Italian, in pen and paper, because I need to be 100% sure, that it's their production. And They have to assign a title to their project and explain why they chose the topic, discuss the structure of the project, discuss the steps, that all the group needed to take to bring the project to a final stage, and discuss also how they used the artificial intelligence tools, that they used, of course, to create the project. And was the information received from AI useful, incorrect, inaccurate? Yes, no, I did not enjoy working with on this project with AI because, and of course, there's also the language part, that they have to reflect on. And here are, the projects. I am opening up their slides. Hopefully you can see them. Can you see them? Can you see the slides? Okay. Una storia per bambini. Here I actually grant the group an exception because they created both the text in Italian of the story for children and the images, right? And what they discussed using their own words and using their own, let's say, thoughts was the mishaps that AI brought to their projects, right? So I'll start from the last slide. And these are the prompts that they gave AI in English to create the story, the children's story about a cat with red boots and a girl, becoming friends with the cat. Surprise girl, black cat in brown hat and red cloak, green-eyed cat on hind legs, detailed facial expressions, realistic digital painting, vibrant colors, whimsical style, warm lighting. And you can see that the image that AI created, Adobe Firefly, is a little bit, confused in terms of where the tail of the cat is, where are the legs of the girl, and the red hat and the red boots, that should have been also on the cat, don't exist. And in the second one, the instructions are kind of similar. However, you can see that Adobe Firefly created the little girl with the paws, of a cat, right? And there are no red shoes and red hat on the cat. The black cat is wearing a red cape and a white brimmed hat, and that doesn't exist on the cat, right? And in the last one, the girl has a little tail coming out, from behind. And therefore, again, this is what they discussed, in their let's say, comments in Italian. And you can see that OpenArt here, created another girl, with a tail at the end. And this is a fine image. And in the story, in this part, the story described the cat with the red boots and the hat, but OpenAI, did not create it, okay? And this is the new cat. And here again, we have a different girl with the tail at the end. And when we get here, they meet new animals and they become friends, with the rabbits and the turtles. But the turtles, look like rabbits, basically. The hair, that they have. And this is what they discussed, right? And here the girl has 3 legs, right? So in the following, slides, what they discuss and what they produced using their own Italian and their own language skills are the comments to, the story and the images, that AI created, right? And the conclusion of the students is that, AI is useful because they help for sure to create your story and to create the images, but yet you have to be careful. You have to edit and you have to adjust everything, according to the goals of your project, right? And the same, very similar one. Instead, the students created basically a project on Italian fashion, and they gave very minimal instructions, I think that they used Adobe Firefly. and very minimal instructions. Italian Armani outfit. Giorgio Armani is one of the most famous and well-known Italian designers. And therefore, you know, in this picture, the AI created, let's say, an outfit with the colors of the Italian flag, white, green, and red. But you can see the mix-up, you know, the mix-ups on the structure of the pants. One pocket is here, the other pocket is down there. You don't know exactly what kind of piece of the jacket is. What about, you know, the scarves? How do they start and how do they end? And therefore, in the second slide, this is what they discussed, you know, with all the arrows, okay? Trying to comment on what is wrong in this picture constructed by AI. And there's also, you know, this necklace that is kind of piercing the throat of the girl, okay, as if she's choking on it, right? And the same, you know, for this other prompt that they gave, Italian outfit best for walking around an Italian city in the fall. The city, you know, the background can be an Italian city, a sort of an historical Italian city, the Peeblestones, you know, the setup. But then probably, I don't think that an Italian woman, you know, would wear this kind of outfit. And so culturally, you know, the students kind of thought that it was, you know, not culturally appropriate in terms of, you know, the pieces of clothing, you know, that the woman is wearing. But the colors are for sure, you know, matched with the season, you know, the gray, the hat, the brown. And this is what they are discussing in Italian in this, you know, slide, right? And here, Italian outfit based around the color red. And again, the color red is what they found, the Rosso Valentino. And this is another Italian designer, very popular, very famous, like the founder of Italian fashion with Giorgio Armani. And red Valentino is the color, you know, that he has, let's say, invented. So we can say that this is the Rosso Valentino, but if you look at the two pieces, they can look like, you know, both pants, you know, and the shoes are too big for being women's shoes. And what about what do you do with the rose, the flower? What do you do with the shells, the watch, right? And so this is what they discussed, you know, in the second slide, right? So their Italian skills, again, were used to criticize and to comment on the image that the Adobe Firefly, you know, gave them. And Italian outfit based on the Italian way to fashion a scarf. Same thing. What do you do with those scarves? The students said that they don't correspond, you know, to reality in the way, you know, the man is wearing them. And they counted 7 fingers on this end, okay? So therefore, that's the other, you know, comment that they made in Italian. And when they went stereotypical Italian outfit, but even more Italian, this is the image that Adobe Firefly created. And the comment was, no Italian man, you know, would wear this kind of outfit and this kind of hat, right? So again, they came to the same conclusion that AI can be very useful, but you need to kind of watch on it, re-edit, redo. And this is a lab assignment that I gave them, starting from a prompt from the book from Sentieri, that is, you know, the Italian textbook that we use. And the exercise asked to create a brochure for a luxury hotel in a popular location, use the formal imperative to invite potential guests to participate in various activities while staying at the hotel. Use photos and drawings to make the brochure more attractive. And therefore, during the lab day, it was on a Tuesday, the students worked on this assignment supervised by the TA. And what they had to do, basically, they had to practice their Italian in connection with the images, that AI gave them. And this is elementary Italian 2, therefore second semester of Italian. And their Italian, of course, is very limited in the sense, that they cannot do a lot, but they can do enough, to describe and to create this picture. Okay, let me see if I can open it. Here it is. No, here it is. Okay, so this is the luxury hotel, that Gemini, I think it was Gemini or Adobe Firefly, I'm confused, created for them. I don't know how much this hotel can correspond to reality, they said, but, it's a luxury hotel. And they commented on the rooms, the theater, the spa, the swimming pool, I'm sorry, the bar, the dining room, and the bedroom. And basically, they commented on the activities, that you can do in all the rooms, right? And this other presentation instead asked the AI tool to create a room of the luxurious hotel, that they had in mind. And of course, AI created the bedroom with the bed, the Italian wine, the glass, and somehow, the painting on the wall was a pizza. This is, let's say, the original painting, that AI created. And since the students saw that it had an evil smile and evil eyes, they kind of, elaborated on that. And the second image, they asked AI to create, let's say, an hotel with the walls made entirely of pizza, and that you could eat, with your hands. And that's, the image that AI created, that you could eat with your hands until you become fat. So that was, the prompt. And again, they elaborated on the concept of the angry pizza. And basically, in one of the classes, I told them that arrabbiata, every time that you see on the menu arrabbiata, enraged, it means that it's really spicy, right? So they asked AI to create basically a pizza arrabbiata, right? A pizza enraged. And AI, elaborated on the previous image on the wall and created a more enraged, pizza with pointed, sharp teeth, the mustache, the eyebrows, right? And this is even more arrabbiata. This is even more evil, right? And they commented on that, and they used all the expressions connected, to being angry in Italian. Therefore, in conclusion, I believe that artificial intelligence and language courses can be compatible, and AI can be used effectively with precise instructions. I could observe that students had fun producing images in connection with their texts and ideas. I could also observe that AI may also help students with their language skills if used correctly, and AI is an assistant. However, there's still a lot of research, to be developed and conducted. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Cecchini. I will stop the recording and we can start the Q&A session.